The light from the Master Relic spread across the galaxy like a wave. On every world, people looked up to see the night sky change. The relics that had been dark for millions of years were glowing, connected by lines of energy that made the stars themselves seem dim by comparison. Day floated in space, still touching the Master Relic. Information flowed into his mind faster than he could process. Not all the precursor's knowledge at once. That would have destroyed him. Instead, he received understanding. The relics were now active and ready to teach, but they would release information slowly, as each species proved ready for it. The relic showed him one final vision. The precursors still existed, watching from dimensions beyond normal space. They hadn't died. They had evolved beyond physical form and still observed the younger species, waiting to see who would eventually join them. The invisible force that held Day released him. He drifted back toward the Vindication. Jin brought him into the airlock. When the door closed and air flooded back in, Day collapsed. Hana caught him. "Are you okay?" she asked. Day nodded, breathing hard. "It's done. The network is active." On the bridge, Velcro stood frozen, staring at the displays. His communication device was receiving thousands of messages from across the galaxy. His people, the Altharians, were reporting that the relics in their space were responding to them again. After 1,000 years of silence, the precursor's technology was offering them another chance. "How is this possible?" Velcros whispered. "We failed. We were judged unworthy." Day pulled himself to his feet. "The relics don't hold grudges. They test each generation. You failed 1,000 years ago, but your species has changed since then. The relics see that. They're giving everyone another opportunity." Ambassador Mina was reading reports on her own device. Earth is reporting the same thing. The relics are responding to human researchers. They're sharing medical technology, energy designs, and more, but not everything at once. It's gradual. Nari worked frantically at the science station. The network is sorting species by their development and ethics. More advanced and peaceful species receive more access. Aggressive or destructive species receive less. It's a system designed to reward growth and cooperation. The precursors were wise, Velcro said quietly. They created a test that doesn't just measure one moment. It measures continuous improvement. The Vindication began the journey back out of the silence. This time the trip was easier. The strange effects on time and space were still there, but the ship navigated through them smoothly, as if the silence itself was helping them leave. When they emerged, the Council fleet was waiting. Commander Quan Shin's face appeared on the screen.
He looked shocked.
"Sir, the relics. They're all active. What did you do?" "I proved that the test isn't about being perfect," Day said. "It's about being willing to grow." The fleet escorted them back to the Council station. News had spread across the galaxy. Day's activation of the Master Relic was already being called the most important event in galactic history. The captain who had been exiled in disgrace was now the person who changed everything. In the weeks that followed, the Council underwent rapid transformation. The old structure based on age and power couldn't survive. Species that had been considered primitive suddenly had access to knowledge that put them on equal footing with elder races. The hierarchy collapsed, replaced by a system based on cooperation and merit. Ambassador Mina O was elected as one of 3 new Council co-chairs. She stood in the chamber where Day had been tried 2 years earlier and addressed the assembled representatives. "The relics have given us a gift," she said, "but with it comes responsibility. We must use this knowledge wisely. We must help each other grow. The precursors left us more than technology. They left us a lesson. No species reaches the stars alone." Velcros, who had stepped down as High Arbiter, spoke next. "I judged Captain Kang harshly. I believed his curiosity was dangerous. I was wrong. It was exactly what the galaxy needed. Sometimes progress requires someone brave enough to question what everyone else accepts as truth." Day himself was offered many honors. The Council wanted to restore his military rank and give him a position of power, but he refused. "I'm not a politician or a soldier anymore," he told Mina. "I want to keep exploring. There's still so much to learn." Instead, he formed the Pathfinder Institute. His crew from the Vindication became its founding members. Their mission was simple: explore the relic network, help species access the knowledge responsibly, and continue learning about the precursor's legacy. Admiral Yang Park visited Dai at the Institute's new headquarters. "I'm proud of you," the old admiral said. You did what I never had the courage to do. You questioned authority when it was wrong. You taught me to think for myself, Day said. I just followed that lesson to its end. Commander Quan Shin also came. He looked uncomfortable. I hunted you for months. I would have arrested you or worse if I could. Now I see that I was on the wrong side. You were doing what you thought was right, Day said. We all were. Can I join the Pathfinder Institute? Quan asked. I need to make up for my mistakes. Day smiled. Everyone deserves a second chance. Welcome aboard. Not everyone celebrated. There were groups among both humans and aliens who rejected the relic knowledge. They saw it as corrupting their natural development. They wanted species to advance on their own, without help from ancient technology. One such group attacked a relic research site. 17 people died in the explosion, including Ari Song. She had been studying how the relics distributed knowledge when the bomb went off. Day attended her memorial service, feeling the weight of loss. Progress always had a price. There would always be people who feared change, who preferred the familiar even if it meant staying stagnant. But there were far more who embraced the future. Earth transformed rapidly over the next 2 years. Clean energy eliminated resource conflicts. Medical advances extended human lifespans and cured diseases that had killed millions. Ships traveled faster and safer, opening up colonization opportunities across the galaxy. The important thing was that humans learned wisdom along with power. They didn't rush to use every piece of technology the relics offered. They took time to consider consequences, to debate ethics to ensure they were ready. Han established a colony on the planetoid where Day had first touched a relic. They named the settlement New Dawn. It became a symbol of humanity's new beginning. The frontier wastes, once lawless and desperate, became a region of opportunity. Former criminals and exiles turned into pioneers and explorers. The places that had been forgotten by the Council became hubs of growth and innovation. The Council authorized a monument at the edge of the silence. They built it from crystal that resembled the relics, and it showed Day with his hand touching the master relic. The inscription read simple words that would be remembered forever. He questioned when others obeyed. He explored when others feared. He proved that wisdom comes not from age but from the courage to grow. Years passed. Day continued his work with the Pathfinder Institute. Narration became his partner in both the work and in life. Together they guided new researchers, helped species access relic knowledge, and explored the mysteries that still remained. One evening, Day stood in the Institute's observatory with Nari. They watched as Earth's first deep space exploration fleet launched. 30 ships heading into regions beyond even where the precursors had explored. Young people aboard them carried the same curiosity that had driven Day to touch that first relic. Do you think they're ready? Nari asked. No, Day said honestly. But that's okay. We weren't ready either. Being ready isn't the point. Being willing to try is what matters. Above them, the relic network pulsed gently across the sky. It was always there now. A reminder that the galaxy was connected. That knowledge was meant to be shared. That every species, no matter how young or old, had something to contribute. Somewhere beyond normal space, the precursors watched. They had waited millions of years for this moment, for species to finally pass their test. Not just one species, but all of them together, learning and growing as a galactic community. And among all the species, humans had been the ones to unlock the network, not because they were superior or chosen, but because one person had refused to accept that curiosity was a crime. That questioning was dangerous. That knowledge should be feared rather than sought. Day Kang had been banished for touching a relic. Now his name would be remembered as long as humans traveled the stars. Not as a conqueror or a warrior, but as someone who believed that learning was worth any risk. That understanding was worth any sacrifice. The Council had banished him. But the relics had illuminated the stars in his name. And in doing so, they had lit the way for everyone who came after. The future was bright. And humanity was finally ready to claim its place among the stars. The silence looked wrong even from a distance. Space there seemed darker, as if the stars themselves were dimmed. Day stood on the bridge of the Vindication, watching as they approached the boundary. We're detecting unusual readings, Nari said from her science station. Time is moving differently there. Space is folded in ways that shouldn't be possible. Can we enter safely? Day asked. Tay worked at the engineering station. Maybe. The ship can handle it, but I can't promise what will happen once we're inside. We might lose communication. Navigation might fail. We're going in blind. Before they could get closer, alarms sounded. Wu looked at his display and cursed. The Council fleet is here. 20 ships. No, 30. They're surrounding us. The Council ships formed a wall between the Vindication and the Silence. Day had expected this, but seeing it was different. The fleet was massive. They had brought everything they could to stop him. Incoming transmission, Jin said. Put it on screen. Day ordered. High Arbiter Velcross appeared. He looked older than Day remembered from the trial. Captain Kang, you have traveled far since your exile. I'm not a captain anymore, Day said. You took that from me. Yet your crew calls you captain still, Velcross observed. You have defied the Council repeatedly. You have activated relics across the galaxy. And now you approach the Silence. This ends here. Why? Day asked. Why are you so afraid of the relics? What's really at the center of the Silence? Velcross was silent for a moment. You deserve to know the truth. 1,000 years ago, my people, the Altharians, found the Silence. We discovered that all the relics point here. We believed we would find the Precursor's greatest treasures. We sent our best ships, our finest minds. What happened? T asked. The relics judged us and found us wanting, Velcross said quietly. They stripped us of our technology. For 200 years, my people couldn't travel to space. We nearly went extinct, and we're not the only ones. Every elder species has a story like this. The Vrin lost their ability to create advanced weapons. The Quillari lost their computational technology. The relics punish failure severely. Day felt a chill. You never told the younger species. Why would we? Velcross asked. To watch you make the same mistakes? The Sacred Edict protects everyone, including you humans. Another ship appeared on the display. It was smaller and carried diplomatic markings. Ambassador Mina O's face appeared on a second screen. She looked tired and worried. Day, she said, please turn back. The Council won't let you pass, and even if you get through, the Silence will destroy you. Every species that tried has failed. What makes you think humans will be different? Day looked at his crew. Hana stood near him, her expression determined. Jin had his hands ready at the weapons controls. Tay monitored the engines. All around the bridge, his people waited for his decision. I can't turn back, Day said to both Velcross and Mina. Not after coming this far. The relics activated for me. They showed me the way here. If they judged me unworthy, why would they do that? Pride destroyed the elder species, Velcross said. Each of us thought we were special. Each of us believed we would succeed where others failed. You are making the same mistake. No, Day said. I'm not special, and I never said humans are better than you. But we have to try. If we don't, we'll never know. And not knowing is worse than failing. Velcross shook his head. I cannot allow you to proceed. If you fail, it reflects on all Council species. The relics might punish everyone for your mistake. Then come with me, Day said suddenly. Everyone on the bridge looked at him in surprise. Velcross blinked his large eyes. What? Come with me, Day repeated. You and Ambassador Mina. If the relics judge me, they can judge you too. We face them together. As equals. Velcross was quiet for a long time. You would share this risk? Knowledge should be shared, Day said. If I succeed, everyone benefits. If I fail, you can see what happens and prevent others from trying. Either way, we learn the truth together. Mina spoke up. High Arbiter, he's right. We can't keep hiding from the relics forever. Maybe it's time to face them again. Velcross looked at something off-screen. Day guessed he was consulting with other Council members. Finally, he nodded. Very well. I will come aboard your ship. Ambassador Mina will join us. But know this, Captain Kang. If the relics destroy us, I will spend my last moments regretting that I allowed this. If we're destroyed, Day said, I don't think regret will matter much. An hour later, Velcross and Mina transported to the Vindication. The High Arbiter was enormous in the ship's corridors, having to duck under doorways. He studied the crew with interest. 30 people willing to die for knowledge, he said. Your species is either very brave or very foolish. Maybe both, Hana said. Wu piloted the ship toward the Silence's boundary. The Council fleet parted, letting them through. Commander Quan Shin watched from his ship as the Vindication approached the dark region. Should we follow? His officer asked. No, Quan said. We wait. If they fail, we ensure no one else tries. If they succeed, he trailed off. He didn't know how to finish that sentence. The moment the Vindication crossed the boundary, everything changed. The stars outside twisted and bent. Colors appeared that Day had no names for. Inside the ship, people felt strange. Time moved wrong. One moment felt like an hour. The next hour felt like a second. I can't maintain course, Wu said, struggling with the controls. Space is folding around us. Let it, Day said. The silence is taking us where we need to go. Velcros gripped a railing, his blue skin pale. This is what destroyed our ships. Reality itself breaks here. Around them, visions appeared. The crew saw images of the precursors. They were beings of light and energy, having shed physical forms long ago. Day saw their civilization at its height. They had mastered the fundamental forces of reality. They could create stars, move planets, and bend space itself. But he also saw their choice. The precursors had evolved beyond physical existence. They had left their dimension to explore others, beyond what anyone could imagine. They left the relics as a test. Any species that could activate the network and reach the origin point would prove themselves worthy of inheriting the precursors' knowledge. The visions faded. Ahead, something massive appeared. It was the Master Relic, a structure the size of a planet. It was made of crystal that hurt to look at directly. Patterns moved across its surface in ways that seemed alive. That's impossible, Nari whispered. Nothing that large should exist. The Vindication drifted toward the Master Relic, pulled by forces they couldn't resist. They stopped a short distance from its surface. Day felt a pull, not physical but mental. The relic was calling to him. I need to go out there, he said. That's space, Jin said. You'll die. No, I won't, Day said with certainty he couldn't explain. It's calling me. I have to answer. Hana grabbed his arm. Then I'm coming with you. No, Day said gently. This part I do alone. He went to the airlock. Everyone gathered to watch. Even Velcros looked concerned. Captain Kang, if you die, humanity loses more than just you. You represent hope for your people. If I don't try, Day said, we lose more than hope. We lose the chance to be something greater. He stepped into the airlock. When the outer door opened, he should have been pulled into vacuum. Instead, he floated gently into space as if held by invisible hands. He could breathe. He could see clearly. The silence protected him. He drifted toward the Master Relic. When he touched it, light exploded through his mind. The relic spoke. Not in words, but in pure meaning that flowed directly into his consciousness. It showed him possible futures. Timelines where humanity became tyrants, conquering other species. Other timelines where humans brought peace and prosperity to the galaxy. Thousands of variations, each dependent on choices not yet made. The relic was testing him, not his strength or intelligence. It was testing his character, his intentions, his understanding of responsibility. Day saw all of it, the good and bad that humanity was capable of. And he didn't lie to the relic, he didn't claim humans were perfect. We're flawed, he said, his words somehow carrying through the void. We make mistakes. We can be violent, selfish, and short-sighted. But we also learn, we grow. We try to be better than we were. Judge us not by what we are now, but by what we're trying to become. The Master Relic pulsed, considering. Day felt its attention like the weight of stars. Then finally it answered. Light burst from the relic, spreading across the network. Every precursor relic in the galaxy activated simultaneously, creating a web of light visible from any planet in any system. The test was complete. And humanity had passed. 6 months in the frontier wastes taught Day more about survival than his entire military career. The transport had dropped him at a station called Rust Haven, which was exactly what it sounded like. Old metal corridors, flickering lights, and people who watched everyone with suspicious eyes. Day found work wherever he could. He fixed broken equipment, moved cargo, and tried not to think about his old life. But every night the visions came back. The relic's images played in his mind like a recording he couldn't stop. Star maps. Equations. That symbol that looked like a key made of light. He was carrying boxes in a storage bay when someone spoke behind him. You're Day Kang, the captain who touched the relic. Day turned around. The man was shorter than him, with scars on his face and cybernetic implants along his left arm. He wore a worn jacket and had a gun on his hip. Who's asking? Dice said carefully. Jin Choi. The man held out his hand. I heard about your trial. The whole frontier heard about it. First human to activate a precursor relic, and the council exiled you for it. Day didn't shake his hand. If you're looking for trouble, find someone else. Jin laughed. Relax, I'm not here to cause problems. I'm here because I think you're interesting. He sat down on one of the boxes. I used to be a Marine. Got discharged for not following orders. Now I move things that people don't want moved through official channels. It's not glamorous, but it pays. What do you want from me? Dee asked. I want to know if the stories are true, Jin said. Did the relic really light up when you touched it? Did it show you things? Day was quiet for a moment. He hadn't talked about the relic with anyone since the trial. Yes, he finally said. It showed me things I don't understand. Star maps. Data. It was trying to communicate. Jin's eyes brightened. Then you're exactly who I need to meet. Come with me. There's someone who can help you. Dave followed Jin through the station's lower levels, down corridors that smelled like oil and recycled air. They stopped at a door that looked like all the others. Jin knocked 3 times, paused, then knocked twice more. The door opened. A woman stood there, young but with eyes that looked much older. Jin, she said. You brought someone. Sora Nam, meet Dae Kang, Jin said, pushing past her into the room. Sora's room was filled with screens and equipment. Information scrolled across displays faster than Dae could read. The exiled captain, she said, studying him. I've been watching for you. Why? Dae asked. Because you're not the first person to activate a relic, Sora said. She touched a screen and an image appeared. It showed a crystalline structure similar to the one Dae had found. 3 years ago, someone else activated one in the Kilos sector. The council found out and that person disappeared. No trial, just gone. Dae felt cold. What are you saying? I'm saying the council is hiding something, Sora replied. She pulled up more images. The relics aren't random. They're connected. They form a network across the galaxy, and the council knows about it. How do you know this? Dee asked. Sora smiled slightly. I trade in information. It's what I do. And I've been collecting data about the relics for years. The council's sacred edict isn't about protecting people. It's about control. They don't want anyone else to access the relics because they failed to activate them centuries ago. Jin sat down and put his feet up on a table. Every elder species tried to use the relics when they first found them. None of them could make them work. Then young species started joining the council and the elder species got nervous. What if someone else succeeded where they failed? That's why they made the edict, Sora said. To make sure no one else could try. Dae sat down slowly. But I activated one. I made it work, exactly, Sora said. And that terrifies them. She pulled up another image. This one showed multiple relics connected by glowing lines. I've been mapping the network. Each relic points to others. They're all connected to something called the origin point. What's the origin point? Dee asked. I don't know, Sora admitted, but I think it's where all the relics lead. It's the center of the network. Dae stared at the map. His mind was racing. The visions from the relics suddenly made more sense. It had been showing him the way to other relics. How many are there? Hundreds, maybe thousands, Sora said, but most are in unexplored space. The council has found about 50 and locked them away. They don't study them. They just guard them. Dae's communication device buzzed. He looked at it and saw an encrypted message. It was from Hannah Beck, his old science officer. She had been working on the relic data from his ship before the council confiscated everything. The message was short. Decoded fragments. Precursors didn't die. They left. Relics are a test. Anyone who completes the network gets their knowledge. Be careful. Council is watching. Dae showed the message to Jin and Sora. Jin whistled. Your friend is risking a lot sending you that. She always believed in the mission more than the rules, Dae said quietly. He looked at Sora. Can you find more relics? Ones that the council hasn't found? Probably, Sora said. But why? Because if what Hana says is true, the relics are a gift. The precursors left them for someone to find, someone who could activate them and learn from them. Dae stood up. The council failed their test. Maybe humans won't. Jin stood up too. That's a dangerous thing you're suggesting. If you start activating more relics, the council will hunt you down. They already exiled me, Dae said. What else can they do? Kill you, Jin said bluntly. But I like the way you think. He grinned. I'm in, Sora looked between them. You're both crazy, but I've been waiting for someone brave enough to try this. I'm in too. A few days later, Dae stood in the cargo bay of an old ship that Jin had acquired. It was called the Broken Promise, which Dae thought was fitting. Tae Lim, his old engineer, had arrived that morning. He had left the fleet quietly and found his way to the frontier to join Day. "The ship needs work," Tay said, looking at the engine systems. "But I can make it fly." Sora was loading her equipment aboard. "I've found 3 relics that the Council doesn't know about. They're all in the outer sectors, far from Council patrols." Jin was checking weapons systems. "We'll need to be ready for anything. Pirates, slavers, and eventually the Council when they figure out what we're doing." Day looked at his small crew. 3 people who were willing to risk everything for a chance to learn the truth. "Thank you," he said. "All of you. You didn't have to do this." "Yes, we did," Tay said. "You touched the relic because you wanted to learn. That's what we should all do. Learn. Grow. Not hide behind fear." Jin powered up the ship's engines. "Where to, Captain?" Day pulled up the star map Sora had created. He pointed to the nearest relic location. "There. We start there." As the broken promise lifted off from Rust Haven, Day felt something he hadn't felt in months. Hope. The Council had tried to bury the truth about the relics. They had exiled him to keep him quiet, but Day wasn't going to be quiet. He was going to find the origin point, he was going to complete the Precursors test, and he was going to prove that humans deserve to be among the stars. The ship jumped into faster-than-light travel, leaving the frontier behind. Ahead of them, ancient mysteries waited. Behind them, the Council's fleet would eventually follow. The hunt had begun. The first relic was on a frozen moon called Thyra. The broken promise landed in a valley surrounded by ice cliffs. Day, Jin, Sora, and Tay walked across the frozen ground, their breath forming clouds in the cold air. "According to the scans, it should be just ahead," Sora said, checking her portable display. They found it inside a cave. The relic was smaller than the one Day had first discovered, about the size of a transport vehicle. It was made of the same crystal and metal, and it hummed with quiet energy. Day approached slowly. The last time he had touched a relic, it had changed his life forever. He reached out his hand. The moment his fingers touched the surface, the relic lit up. Colors flowed through it like liquid light. Above it, a projection appeared showing star systems and coordinates. This time, Day understood more of what he was seeing. The relic was showing him where to find others. "It's beautiful," Tay whispered. The projection faded after a few minutes, but the relic remained active, pulsing softly. Day pulled out a device and recorded the coordinates it had shown. "We have locations for 4 more relics now." They returned to the ship and continued their journey. Over the next 8 months, they found and activated 6 more relics. Each one added pieces to a larger puzzle. Each activation gave Day more visions, more understanding of the network. Word spread through the frontier. People heard about the human captain who was activating ancient relics. Some called him crazy, others called him brave. And slowly, more people started joining his crew. Arisong arrived at their ship one day while they were docked for repairs. She had been a diplomat for the Council but left after seeing how corrupt they were. "I can help you navigate Council politics," she told Day. "I know how they think." Wuhan was a pilot whose colony had been destroyed by raiders while the Council debated whether to help. "I have nothing left to lose," he said. "Let me fly for you." Narration was a scientist who had studied precursor sites secretly for years. "I've dedicated my life to understanding them," she explained. "Let me help decode what the relics are telling you." Soon the broken promise wasn't big enough. They acquired a larger ship and renamed it the Vindication. The crew grew to 30 people, all exiles or dreamers who believed in what Day was doing. But success brought attention. The Council learned about their activities. They were at a relic site in the Moran system when Council enforcement ships appeared. Day was at the relic, his hand on its surface, downloading data. Alarms blared across his communication link. "Day, we have incoming," Jin's voice crackled. 5 Council ships. "They're powering weapons. How long until they're in range?" Day asked, not moving his hand from the relic. 2 minutes, maybe less. The relic pulsed brighter under Day's touch. He could feel it responding not just to him, but to the threat approaching. "Tell everyone to hold position. Don't fire. Are you crazy?" Jin shouted. "They're going to destroy us." "Trust me," Day said. The Council ships came closer. Their weapons locked onto the Vindication. But as they prepared to fire, the relic exploded with light. A dome of energy expanded from it, passing through Day without harming him. When it reached the Council ships, their systems shut down. Engines stopped. Weapons powered off. The ships drifted helpless. Day removed his hand from the relic and the dome faded. The Council ships remained dark, their systems needing time to restart. Day and his crew returned to the Vindication and escaped before the enforcement fleet could recover. On one of the disabled Council ships, Commander Quan Shin stared at his dead controls. He was human like Day, but he had chosen loyalty to the Council. He had been sent to stop Day because the Council thought a human could predict another human's actions. "Sir, systems are coming back online," his officer reported. Quan watched on his screen as the Vindication jumped away. What he had just seen troubled him. The relic had defended Day. It had known the Council ships were hostile and had stopped them without violence. That shouldn't be possible. Precursor technology wasn't supposed to be intelligent, but what he had witnessed suggested otherwise. "Should we pursue?" his officer asked. Quan was quiet for a moment. "No, return to base. I need to report this to the Council." Back on the Vindication, the crew celebrated their escape. But Day stood in his quarters, looking at the data they had collected. Hana had sent him another encrypted message. She had been caught helping him and was now facing punishment. She was being kicked out of the military. Day felt guilty. Hana had risked everything for him. But her message wasn't angry. "Don't worry about me. I made my choice. The data from 7 relics is revealing something. They're all pointing to the same place. A region called the Silence. That's where the origin point is. That's where you need to go." Day pulled up the star charts. The Silence was a region of space that no one understood. Ships that entered it rarely came back. Those that did reported strange things. Time moving wrong, space folding in impossible ways. The Council had declared it off-limits centuries ago. "That's where we're going," Day said to himself. Over the next few weeks, Hana joined the crew. She arrived quietly, carrying only a bag of personal items. Day met her at the docking bay. "I'm sorry," he said. She shook her head. "Don't be. I believed in this mission before they arrested you." "I still believe in it," she smiled slightly. "Besides, someone needs to keep you from making bad decisions." With Hana's help, they analyzed all the data from the relics they had activated. The pattern was clear. 7 relics formed a map, and that map led to the Silence. Whatever was at the center of that region, it was the key to everything. But reaching the Silence wouldn't be easy. It was in the heart of Council space. They would have to travel through heavily patrolled systems. They would face more than enforcement ships. The full Council fleet would be waiting. Day called a meeting with his crew. 30 people gathered in the common area of the Vindication. They were humans, but also a few aliens who had joined them. Exiles, rebels, and idealists. "I've been leading us from one relic to another," Day said. "But now we know where they all lead. The Silence. The origin point is there." "That's suicide," someone said. "No one survives the Silence." "Maybe," Day agreed. "But if we don't try, we'll never know what the precursors left behind. We'll never complete their test." Ari stepped forward. "The Council will be there. They'll have every ship they can spare guarding the approach. This isn't just dangerous. It's almost certainly a one-way trip." "I know," Day said. "That's why I'm giving everyone a choice. Anyone who wants to leave can take a shuttle and go. No judgment, no shame. You've all already done more than I had any right to ask." The crew was silent. Then Jin laughed. "You really think any of us would leave now? We've come this far. We're seeing this through to the end." Others nodded. Tay raised his hand. "All who want to continue to the Silence, raise your hand." Every hand went up. Day felt something tighten in his chest. These people trusted him completely. They were willing to risk their lives because they believed in what they were doing. "Then we leave in 3 days. Make any preparations you need. Contact anyone you want to contact, because once we enter the Silence, we might not come back." The crew dispersed. Day stood alone, looking out at the stars through the viewport. Somewhere out there, the Council was preparing. They knew he was coming. They would try to stop him. But Day had learned something important over the past months. The relics responded to more than just touch. They responded to intent, to purpose. He wasn't activating them because he wanted power. He was doing it because he wanted to learn, because humanity deserved to know the truth, and somehow the relics knew the difference. 3 days later, the Vindication set course for the Silence. Behind them, the safer parts of the galaxy fell away. Ahead, Council ships gathered like a wall. And beyond them, reality itself waited to test whether Day and his crew were worthy of the Precursor's legacy. The journey's end was approaching, One way or another, everything would be decided soon. The chamber was massive, built to make anyone standing in its center feel small. Dai Kang stood alone in that center now, surrounded by 17 alien species that made up the Galactic Council. Above him, the curved ceiling showed the stars beyond, a reminder that he was far from home. His uniform was gone. They had taken it 3 days ago when they arrested him. Now he wore simple gray clothes, the kind prisoners wore. His hands were not bound, but armed guards stood at every exit. Not that he planned to run. Dai had done nothing wrong, and he would face whatever came next. The High Arbiter spoke first. Velcros was tall, even sitting down. His skin was pale blue and seemed to glow softly in the dim light. When he spoke, his voice echoed through the chamber. Captain Dai Kang of Earth, you stand accused of violating the sacred edict. You activated a precursor relic. Do you deny this? Dai looked up at the council members. Some looked angry. Others looked curious. A few seemed bored, as if his trial was just another task to complete. I don't deny it, he said clearly. But I don't accept that I did anything wrong. A murmur went through the chamber. One of the council members, a creature that looked like it was made of living crystal, made a sound like breaking glass. Velcros raised one long hand for silence. The sacred edict exists for the safety of all species, Velcros said. The precursors vanished millions of years ago. Their technology is beyond our understanding. Every species that has tried to use it has faced disaster. This is why the edict exists. This is why you have broken our most important law. Dai clenched his fists at his sides. We found something, he said. My crew and I were exploring the Varentis sector. We detected energy readings from an uncharted planetoid. When we investigated, we found a structure. It was massive, made of crystal and metal that we couldn't identify, and when I got close to it, it activated. You should have reported it immediately and left, another council member said. This one was covered in thick fur and had 6 eyes. Instead, you chose to stay. You chose to interact with it. I chose to learn from it, Dai replied. His voice was steady, but inside he felt frustrated. The relic showed us star maps, data streams, mathematics we've never seen before. It wasn't dangerous. It was trying to teach us something. And you believe you know better than this council? Velcros asked. Your species has been part of the galactic community for only 30 years. 30 years? Some of us have existed for thousands of years. Do you truly think your judgment is superior? Dai took a breath. He knew this moment was important. No, he said. I don't think I'm better than you. But I think curiosity shouldn't be a crime. I think exploring and learning is what intelligent species do. If we stop asking questions, if we stop seeking knowledge, then what's the point of exploring the stars at all? In the observation gallery above, Ambassador Mina O leaned forward. She was Earth's representative to the Council, and she had fought hard to defend Dai. But she knew it wasn't enough. The Council had already made up their minds before the trial began. Captain Kang, Mina called out, her voice amplified through the chamber. Permission to speak on behalf of Earth and Captain Kang. Velcros nodded slowly. Speak, Ambassador. Mina stood. She was small compared to most of the beings in the chamber, but her voice was strong. The Council welcomed humanity 30 years ago. You said we had potential. You said we could contribute to galactic society. But how can we contribute if you punish us for being exactly what you claim to value? Humans are curious. We ask questions. We seek answers. That's how we went from living in caves to traveling between stars in just a few thousand years. It's also why your species is dangerous, Velcros said. You move too fast. You take risks without understanding the consequences. This is exactly why the edict exists, to protect reckless species from themselves. Then teach us, Mina said. Don't punish us. Captain Kang made a mistake, perhaps, but his intentions were good. He wanted to learn. He wanted to help his crew understand something amazing. Exile seems extreme for curiosity. Velcros looked at the other council members. Several of them touched panels in front of them, casting their votes. The results appeared on a screen visible to everyone. Dai's heart sank. Out of 17 votes, only 2 were in his favor. Earth's vote and 1 other. 15 species voted for punishment. Captain Dai Kang, Velcros announced. This council finds you guilty of violating the sacred edict. You are hereby stripped of your rank and position. You are declared unwelcome in all council space. You will be exiled to the frontier wastes, where council law does not reach. You will leave within 3 days. If you return to council space, you will be arrested and imprisoned. Do you understand? Day felt like he had been hit. The frontier wastes were lawless. Pirates, criminals, and desperate people lived there. It was where the council sent people they wanted to forget. I understand, he said quietly. This trial is concluded, Velcro said. The council members began to leave, their interest in Day already fading. Guards moved forward to escort Day out, but before they reached him, a man in a military uniform approached. Admiral Young Park looked older than Day remembered. His face was tired and sad. Sir, Day said, straightening up. Don't call me that, Young said quietly. Not anymore. He looked around to make sure no one was listening. I'm sorry, Day. I tried to protect you, but the council was determined. They made an example of you. Why? Day asked. What did I really do that was so terrible? Young hesitated, then leaned closer. You proved something they don't want anyone to know. The relic responded to you. It activated for a human. Some of the elder species have tried for centuries to activate those structures and failed. You did it on your first try. That scares them more than they'll ever admit. Before Day could respond, the guards pulled him away. As they led him out of the chamber, he looked back one last time. Mina stood in the observation gallery, her hand pressed against the glass. She looked like she wanted to say something, but no words would help now. Day thought about the relic. He remembered the moment he touched it, the way it had lit up with colors he didn't have names for, the visions it showed him, star systems, mathematical formulas, and a symbol that was burned into his memory now, something that looked like a key made of light. The council could exile him. They could take his rank and his ship, but they couldn't take what he had learned. They couldn't erase what he had seen. As the guards pushed him into a transport that would take him to the frontier, Day made himself a promise. He would survive. He would learn more. And somehow he would prove that the council was wrong to fear the relics. The transport lifted off, carrying him away from everything he had known. Below, the council station grew smaller. Above, the stars waited. Somewhere out there, more relics existed. Day didn't know how, but he would find them. The council had banished him. But his journey was just beginning.